welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Shawna. If you're not new, thank you for coming back. So as the title says, these are some basics for you to know for your first couple hours in Cuba. I feel like I have made a lot of videos and I feel like I have given a lot of tips as it relates to things to prepare for when you're coming to Cuba, but it would seem that I've left some things out just thinking that people would just know these. But just in case this might help anybody based off of DMs that I've gotten recently, to avoid any issues that could arise, I decided to just make this video. So we're gonna get into it. These are a couple tips that I think you should know before you go to Cuba. My first tip: before you leave your country of residence, please notify your bank. Put a travel advisory on your account. If you don't do that, your cards will not work in Cuba or anywhere outside of the country. They will think it is fraud and they will block it. In the day and age that we live in, fraud happens a lot and scamming is very trendy. So it's important to notify the bank before you decide to travel. Point number 2, pay your school fee at least 2 weeks before you plan to travel. When I was coming to Cuba for the first time, I literally didn't leave until I got correspondence from CSMC that yes, they had received my payments. Try to do that first. If they can't give you an answer, then give it a minimum of 2 weeks before you decide to travel to go to Cuba for school after you've done your payment. Why? It usually takes 2 weeks for the payment to arrive. Minimum 2 weeks. Sometimes people say a month. We don't really know why. Sometimes it depends on the intermediary bank that you choose to use. However, every time that I've done school fee payments, it has arrived within 2 weeks. So 2 weeks minimum, because if you go before your payment arrives, they're not going to allow you to start quarantine. They're not going to permit you to start your classes or anything like that. They have to receive a confirmation of payment before. Even if you have the receipt with the bank, if they don't see it on their systems, they're not taking you. Next, a digital plan won't work once you leave Jamaica. I learned this the hard way. First time I was coming to Cuba, I had put on plan because I wanted to be able to talk to my friends and make contact and everything. By the time as I landed, nothing was working. The only thing that was working was straight text, so SMS, and straight calls. That was it, and that was very expensive at the time. It still is expensive now. It burned off credit like that. It burned off credits, and immediately your phone switches. Your chip's going to, if it's roaming, it's going to switch from digital to Cuba cell, and that's why your plan doesn't work, because it's no longer on the digital system. So if anything that you're going to buy, maybe you should buy credit so that you'll be able to SMS people and let them know that you have arrived safely and that you're okay. After you've done all of this, once you're actually in Cuba now, the first thing you need to do is buy a chip. That's the first thing you need to do. You need to find an attester, go there, tell them that you're an international person and you would like to purchase a chip. You need to bring your passport for this, as you don't have any identification for the country yet, so they're going to require your passport. They'll generate a chip for you. While there, you can buy credit, and then that chip's going to put into your phone so that you can buy data. It's the best thing that you can do, especially if you're a student and you do all of this before you go into quarantine, so that you'll be able to have data and have your phone to interact with while you're in quarantine for the week and be able to talk to people and be good. Another thing to note is that La Nave is basically, it's a Cuban Uber basically. So that's something that's important to note within your first hours. If you need to get around, you can download the app and call a La Nave. Another thing that you need to know for your first hours in Cuba, I guess this would be before, please make sure you have a VPN on your phone before you come to Cuba, especially if you have an iPhone. Please make sure you have a working VPN. I have a video somewhere about this, about the one that I use. I think it's the one about the apps that I would recommend. Make sure that you have a working VPN, especially if you have an iPhone, before you come to Cuba, because the App Store does not work. The minute you land down there, the App Store don't work. You need a VPN to bypass it to be able to have an App Store that works. This is a random thing, but if you're trying to get around, the streets are numbered by 2. So basically, for every street that's like over, you have streets and you have avenues. And one of them is odd numbers and the other one is even numbers. I'm not sure which is which, but I believe The streets are even numbers and the avenidas or the avenues are odd numbers. So you'll have Avenida Quinta, Septima. So those are odd numbers. Whereas you'll have like Calle 22, Calle 24, Calle 20. So if you need to get around and figure out where an address is and you're looking at the map, whether it be Google Maps or Apple Map, you can zoom in to be able to see the number of the streets, and then you'll follow by that way to be able to find wherever it is that you're going. But that is something to note. It's by 2. So if you started walking somewhere and you're in, let's say you're in Calle 22, and then you walk 1 block and all of a sudden you're in Calle 24, you didn't miss a block. That's how it's numbered. So each block is by 2 basically, to help you get around and to help you navigate. My next tip is to secure a house before you go into quarantine. I've talked about this before, probably one of my very early videos, and my experience when I just went to Cuba. We went straight into quarantine and we didn't find a house first, so we went in with all of our suitcases and all of our luggages, and then once quarantine was done, they wouldn't keep our stuff while we went to find a place. Basically they kind of kicked you out because you're done. It's what you've paid for is done, so they kick you out. And I was walking on the streets with my friends with my suitcases looking for somewhere to live. To avoid that from happening, find a place before, because we didn't end up finding a place on the first day, and thankfully we made friends with people and were able to sleep on somebody's couch. Otherwise we would have been homeless. So find a house before you go into quarantine. I'd also recommend that you leave some of your suitcases there. Don't take all your suitcases to quarantine because you don't really need it, but take as much snacks as you can with you into quarantine because the food sucks and you're not gonna like it. I feel no way in saying that. It's true. These tips are for students who are going to be studying there. Like, the food sucks. To walk with enough snacks and food like that where you could have it in your suitcase and eat out to last you hopefully for the week. And my last and final tip for you in your first hours in Cuba, make friends with people that you're in quarantine with, because more than likely they're going to be your classmates, and it's really, really helpful once you've made friends with people. Even if you didn't find a house before, while you're in quarantine, speak to people around you so that you can find a house after and not have as much issues. But yeah, if you're a new student and you're watching this, good luck. Welcome to Cuba. Godspeed. And I hope you make good friendships and you have a good time, more than you have any problems. I hope to see you guys in the next one. If anybody has any other questions that they would like to ask, drop them down in the comments below. If anyone has any suggestions for new videos that I should do, drop them down below so that I can keep creating content. And I will see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.